He grew up in Wilmette, where professionals have no problem networking their way to new jobs. But while mentoring a tech incubator nonprofit, IC Stars, he saw firsthand how many job seekers on the south and west sides of Chicago, particularly those with criminal pasts or gaps in their employment history, didn't have the same networking ability or resources so readily afforded to him and his Wilmette peers. But it was when he happened upon research confirming that a person's zip code at birth is a major indicator of economic success throughout their lives. It was then that he was compelled to launch a software company that connects job seekers to employers and social services. It's time to change the narrative in Chicago, he stated. We need to see more opportunities and create ways to get people in the door. Please join me and the founder and CEO of RiseKit, the wonder from Wilmette, Matt Strauss, in the arena right now.
3, 2, 1.
Here we go!
Matt Strauss. Matt Strauss.
Darius, how are you?
Matt Strauss. How are you, my friend?
Doing well. How are you?
It is great to have you here. Great to sit with you. We've had a few conversations. I think we met sort of, I don't even remember the details. It feels like I've known you longer than perhaps we have, because we've had some really kind of intense focus. Yeah. We don't have a lot of time. Let's get to it. And that first conversation, I think halfway through, you said, you're like, I really like you. And I'm like, I like you. Remember, you're like, and I respected that. But you were like, there's something about you. I'm like, there's something about you. I don't know what it's going to look like, but I love what you're working on. Let's begin at the very beginning, as I always like to do. When and where were you born?
I was born in Skokie, Illinois, at North Shore Hospital. I was born in 1990, December 19th. I was trying to hold that part because I knew the 90s always gets my friends.
That's nice. So you got life and I got a college degree the same year. How wonderful. Go on. No, it's about you though. So 1990 you were born. Okay.
I was trying to hide that part. But
why? Hang on to it, because in 20 years you're gonna miss this. So 1990 born. Tell me about the man and the woman who created you.
Yeah, my mom and dad. So my mom's name is Debbie. My dad's name is Jay. My mom grew up in Lincolnwood, went to Maine East. My dad grew up in Rogers Park, went to Mather High School. My dad took over my grandpa's meatpacking business. My grandpa came here right before the Holocaust started and grew the meatpacking business. And then my mom was a math teacher, or also a math tutor now. And so she taught me my math as well as all my friends from my high school too. So she was our go-to tutor that helped us get A's.
Nice. You have, I want to say you are one of 4 siblings. And you are, I'm just going to read notes because I want your mother to know, Debbie, Mrs. Strauss. You are the youngest of 4 siblings, also known as the Hanukkah present, as you explained it in your pre-interview. Did I get that correct? Correct. Okay. What's the, I won't lean on that. I'll just let the audience do the work. What is the spread between you, the spoiled baby, and your oldest siblings? Walk me through the spread, starting with you.
So yeah, I'm the youngest. Then my brother Danny, he is 6 years older. He has 2 kids. Oh, wow. And then my sister Steph, 9 years older. She's in Mexico right now, but lives a great life and just meditates and helps coach people meditation. And my oldest brother is 11 years older. He has 4 kids, 2 sets of twins, lives up in Buffalo Grove area.
Did you ever feel with that age difference in some ways as an only child, or that you had 3 additional parental figures who wanted to be the boss of you? What's the relationship like when there's that sort of difference between you and your sister?
Definitely different. For my sister, I guess, I don't remember too much, which I feel bad telling her this, but I guess she was like my second mom. She'd always sleep next to me and take care of me. But yeah, my brother Danny and Brandon, way different. They would vivid memories of them just putting me on top of the TV.
Sure.
I couldn't get down.
Sure.
And there's just one moment with my brother Danny. I remember we were crawling through the house, and he looks back at me and goes, "You know what? You're funny." And now, for some reason, the only true memory I think I have of childhood with him, even though I've had a lot, but like the rest were just terrible. We like locked me in a room in the dark. But that moment, I'll never forget.
It sticks with you.
Yeah.
Interesting. And the relationship with you all as adults?
Yeah, super close. So, 60s nephews with my two brothers. They're the best people, little humans, people, whatever you want to call them. Super close with them. We see each other all the time. My sister as well. I used to actually live with my sister, so we're super close.
The eldest, who was like the parent?
She is the second oldest, yes.
Okay.
She's like basically like a parent. I think living with her made her realize that, I've grown up quite a bit. Not the little Matt she used to remember, but yeah.
But interesting, the bonds, I'm from a fairly large family.
Yeah.
And the dynamics are different.
Yeah.
My youngest sister and I, who is 12 years my junior, so she was our, let's say, Kwanzaa baby. She came, and we are like this. I'm the first in my family to go to college, the first to go to University of Michigan. She was the second.
Nice.
So,
Following your footsteps.
but there's a closeness where I have to remind myself sometimes that this young woman has crossed 40. She's not the baby I held anymore.
Yeah.
She's, like, this is a grown woman who in some ways has exceeded me. So
It's pretty cool how when you get older, how those relationships change,
Absolutely.
right? Like,
And you said something about, when we spoke, West Side. Does that mean anything?
yeah.
What does it mean in Wilmette?
Now I see where we're going. I like it. Yeah, so, Wilmette, Winnetka, Kenilworth, Glencoe are all beautiful, amazing neighborhoods. And I'm so lucky to be from there. But the joke that my friends would say, in a way, was I was from the West Side. And it always stuck to me. I was proud of that, right? It's like, because I didn't have a house on the lake. I didn't have a house on Sheridan Road or Green Bay.
Yeah.
I was proud, that my dad grew up as a meat packer, took over my grandpa's business, and hustled his way to get here. And that is really kind of what is who I am. Even when I played college soccer, I was all about hustling. I wasn't that talented. And that's really what I feel like the West Wilmette side of things are, of the North Shore area.
Good. Badge of honor.
Yeah.
You went to, speaking of college, you attended West Virginia University, where you have now admitted on television that you played soccer.
Yes.
Were you any good?
Well, so also my friends would say I was really good in 8th grade, and then I peaked.
Ooh, that's. But I was talking about college.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well,
Okay.
no. So
I get the point.
I was like national team. Like, who was this guy? Like, because I changed like the next David Beckham of USA, 8th grade, good. And then I just kept doing cross country, so my muscles changed. So I was really fit and always like the most fit person, running like the fastest miles. So long story, that all grew to college where I still was good, not like David Beckham good anymore, which I'll never be anywhere close. But I ended up playing college soccer because I was, super fit, still pretty good, not, amazing.
Wow.
And then I, played for 2 years. I got hurt. I ended up quitting. But it was the best 2 years of my life. Some of my closest friends are from college soccer.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah.
Wow. Tell me about your first paid job.
Yeah, well, soccer is the talk of the town right now here for this conversation. So I was actually a salesperson at a soccer store. And I will tell you, I was the best salesperson that store has ever seen.
I love the ownership of it. Come on, tell us why.
I was so obsessed with the cleats because I was playing soccer. So I was already knowing about it. Every shin guard, like sadly I knew about everything, like what kid should wear what. The ankle guards, the sweet
soccer
spots.
moms just
Oh,
loved.
yes. It was, and then the kids I could joke around with, and I would even pass with them while they're there. It's a small little store, so you can't really do much, but it was like literally nothing you could do. Like it was like passing like this far apart.
But it was still magical.
But I just thoroughly loved just the sales part of it. And I wasn't even thinking about sales. It's just like, I'm trying to help you.
Interesting. I just want to mark that some of the things that you just said about the job as a salesperson in soccer, meeting people, liking people, becoming very interested in what you were doing, seeing where they are and how you can help them. All right. Which I'm going to fast forward because I don't, blah, blah, blah. You worked in what is that, venture capital,
Yeah.
giving money to people who already had money. Tell me if I'm wrong. Did I cover that
Nailed
fairly?
it. Nailed it.
More or less? Okay,
Yeah.
perfect. But in 2018, and I alluded to this in the open, you launched. And how old were you in 2018?
20, I don't know. Don't
Okay,
put me on the
but in the
spot.
20s.
Yeah.
But in 2018, I digress, you launched Rise Kit.
Yeah.
Tell me the series of events, I alluded to some, that led you to wanting to even consider it. But then I want you to talk to me about, one, what led you to want to take on, no matter how well connected you are, the stress, the visionary work of starting something when you don't necessarily have to. And then once you made that decision, how you tapped into your resources, not judging it, but how you tapped into your vast array of resources to make this Rise Kit vision a reality that's now we're at 2023, and we'll talk about your growth plan and what you're working on now. But take me back to on or about 2018 when you thought to do this. What did it?
So I'll end it with how the story almost ended.
Okay.
It was Christmas or Halloween 2018, and I got like an ultimatum from my boss saying, "You got to stop doing what you're doing on the side, or you can stay with me and we'll grow this business together in venture capital, this group." And then you'll see where I am now, which kind of tells you the answer.
Okay.
But how that all happened, right, was I was going to Chicago South and West Sides. So Inglewood, Chatham, Bronzeville, all the time. I hang out with Marcus Evans quite a bit, Illinois rep. I would hang out at Teamwork Inglewood, Chicago Urban League, CARA program, all the above. But then one group, IC Stars, which is in Chicago, like downtown, and it asked me to be a mentor. I ended up mentoring a guy named Silk Jackson, who's changed my life, where he got a job and then he ended up growing a business, and where he asked me to mentor him to grow his business. It was a music studio, and hopefully I never sing to you, but I can't sing at all. But I will tell you that, Silk could grow this business if he could figure out how to sell and get more artists. So I helped coach him to how to get that. He ended up getting like 5 artists in 2 months.
Oh, wow.
He ended up getting Alumni of the Year by IC Stars, which is an awesome award. They had 1,000 people at their annual gala. He gets on stage, he starts speaking, and they give him a $30,000 check to go grow his business. And then he starts speaking again, and then he gives me a shout out that says, "Matt Strauss, please stand up."
Oh, wow.
That's when I start crying. And that was my moment. That was my moment when I realized that I love doing this venture capital stuff. I'm super grateful for my old boss that gave me an ultimatum, but my heart is somewhere else. And that's when I realized there's something out there, sort of tech platform to better connect job seekers like Silk to training programs and resources, as well as the employers. I didn't know what it was. I called it Solve back then. Now we're called Rise Kids, another long story. And here we are.
Perfect. And how did you fund Solve and Rise Kit? Because
Yeah.
things like this don't work on hope and dreams.
Yeah, so, I never wanted to ask my family for money. So I was able to ask, but I never did. So I ended up, like the lucky kind of connection that I had was my old boss, was in venture capital. So I ended up networking my way in, and I ended up meeting some awesome angel investors that I never knew, but they trusted me because I worked my tail off at that last job. So I ended up raising about $50,000, that's it, to get this thing off the ground. I didn't pay myself. I lived at my sister's. She was cool enough to let me live there. And she let me, I had to pay rent.
Did you have your own bedroom?
She had like a half of a room. It's like yes. Well, the answer is yes.
So you were winning. Go on.
It was in the West Loop.
Oh,
yeah.
Go on.
I am one lucky human. But yeah, I ended up raising, so my first investor, I'll never forget it, was Alan Matthew, and I walked to his house. I just talked to him about this too. It was my first check. And I walked to his house in right by Millennium Park.
Who is he?
He is an angel investor, one of the first angel investors in Chicago, one of the OGs of investing in tech, and super awesome, nice guy. And so I walk over there, we talk for a little bit. He's like, "I don't really get what you do, but here's $5,000 check." I remember this check, like just staring at it, and I was like skipping home from Millennium Park to the West Loop.
And it's your win.
And I was just the happiest I've ever been. So that's how it all happened.
Yeah. So tell me, because we've talked about this, and Rise Kit is trying to remove barriers to employment, specifically for folks who do not systemically, historically have the resources that come. And again, no, you have to do the work, get it. But as you were telling your story, I think about Silk with similar talent, perhaps smarter than both of us. There was no one to just walk to, which is why I See Stars, he didn't have the resources where people sometimes, just because there's a comfort level, will hand you $5,000. So what you were doing and why he honored it is so valuable, because it's just always the harder approach, and someone like you. So what do you hope, I'm going to ask you two things, Rise Kit's legacy will be, and then what do you want Matt Strauss's legacy to be when all is said and done?
Yeah, there's two ways to kind of summarize what I hope Rise Kit becomes. In a corporate view, is the first DI tool that actually truly works at scale. Where a company has to use this tool because they can easily source local and diverse talent through community organizations and not add to their plates. That is my number one goal as a business. But by doing that, what that means is we start to get rid of this challenge of the zip code being one of the biggest barriers to somebody's economic mobility. And the reason why I launched this is it's not fair. Like, where I grew up in Wilmette, I had access to opportunities. I had my friend's dad's friend got me my first job. And it's not the same story. And just 12 miles from me, 5, 10, it's just impossible for me to even go on with my day without thinking about this. And so I've become obsessed with this problem. And my goal is to make sure that no matter where somebody lives, whatever their goals are, they have access to opportunities. And it's up to them to be able to persevere. But what we found out is they can really persevere the best through a local organization, a case manager in their corner.
Sure.
So that's it.
I'm going a bit off track here, but you just hit on something. We're going to talk more about it. You're obsessed with it, and I sense that with you. And I think I asked you a question. What do your friends and family in Wilmette think about this obsession?
It took a while. Now I think they just deal with it. No, I'm kidding. It took a while.
Or are you? It's
No,
okay.
At first my family was nervous for me going to Englewood quite a bit or Chatham. But I told them, everyone truly deserves access, and they understood that. Like my parents, my dad, used to hire Hispanic workers for his jobs, and he totally understood. Like, it was somebody's first job. It means a lot to them. So it was tough in the beginning, just the perception of risk, right, and safety. Others were like, get a banking job, just do that. And I was like, no, like, somebody has to figure this out. It is not fair what's happening. I'm not saying we're going to solve everything. Sure. There's a lot of economic development that needs to happen. There's a lot of things that need to happen. But technology can really start to better connect people.
Okay. I'm going to stop right here, and we're going to do something a bit different, because who's going to stop us? No, they may stop us, but we're going to try it anyway. Matt, I'm going to say thank you. This is usually where I would say, when we come back, we're going to do a segment called 3 for the Road. And I'm still going to say that. Yeah. But I'm also going to say, when we come back, we are going to do the segment 3 for the Road really efficiently, because I want to have a conversation with you around this kitchen table that you and I have had in kitchen table conversations. Okay. So we will do that. But stay with us. We'll be right back. Me and my good friend, Matt Strauss, right after this. Stay with us. 3 for the Road is next.
For as long as America has existed, the inequitable treatment Black Americans experience due to the color or shade of their skin has persisted. On Thursday, March 30th at 7 p.m., CAN TV's special report, The Marginalized Working While Black, takes a deep dive into America's original sin, race and the value, or lack thereof, attached to it. A difficult discussion, but one well worth having together. Tune in Thursday, March 30th.
Let's move to the final segment called Three for the Road. Here's how it works. I know you know, but here's how it works. I'm going to ask you 3 questions. You're going to give me 3 answers. Ready?
Yeah.
You feel good about this?
Yeah.
All right, let's go. Yep.
I'm ready.
Okay. Question number 1. If you could have dinner with any person living or dead, who would you choose and why?
Barack Obama. I find it fascinating the way he was a leader, as well as the way he's trying to give back and help the community. And also the way he speaks is just beautiful. So everything about it, I just thoroughly look up to him. And every time he speaks, I just want to hear what his next steps are in his life and also learn from him and his leadership skills.
That was a great first answer. Question 2. Do you have any regrets?
Yes.
Okay.
I hired one person that almost ruined my life. So one of the worst experiences of my life, yeah. I almost cry about it right now. It's how painful it is thinking about it. It's literally trauma that I have from this.
And
That's
I
how bad it
don't,
was.
but there's no way to just leave that hanging. Shad, can you give me just a... Yeah, here's what we're going to do. You and I are going to continue. I'll tell everyone in a moment that we're going to continue, and we're going to cover that. So stay with us. Question number 3, final question. One piece of advice present-day Matt would have given his 21-year-old self, so that's 3 years ago.
Have fun. Enjoy every moment. Don't be serious.
Bravo. So here's the thing. You and I have had conversations. And I think our first conversation, after you DM'd me, our first conversation was, we don't know what it's going to look like, but we know. And I asked you, I said, you are a white man in America who came from Wilmette. I remember saying this to you because I was probably in a place that day where I had been microaggressed more than I was interested in having. And then you came on, and I'm here in this space going, we've got to get people who look like me but don't look like me under the tent. We've got to, how do we have these conversations? And you came with such bright light and energy, and my gut says, this guy may not be perfect, but his heart is pure. And I remember asking you, so you're a white person, you have choice, you're from Wilmette, even if you're from the west side, so you are the least rich of the rich. And again, valid though it may be, it is miles apart from where you spend so much time helping people on the west and south side. And I asked you why, and I'm going to ask you again tonight, why you have choices. I think you've answered it, but I want to hear you say it again for those in the cheap seats. Why does this matter to you when it's so many folks who look like you lean into the gift of the privilege of not having to deal with it head on? Why are you obsessed, as you said earlier, with this issue?
It's not fair. It's not fair why in Wilmette and the suburbs that I grew up in to have that life when so close, it's not even on the same, I don't even know what to say. It's just, it's not even comparable. It's just another world. And I don't understand how we can move on like nothing's happened. It's painful. I just was in Austin today with one of our clients, the Austin neighborhood, and it's just not fair. It's just not.
And how do you, and I believe, for what it's worth, when you say it, and I respect that, and it is what both drives those of us who lean into servant leadership to do more, but also can drive us to distraction. Because it is such, we're not talking about degrees, we're talking about poverty versus gregarious wealth within miles of each other. So let's talk about general. I'm not talking about your family because clearly they created something incredible here, so I'm going to give them the benefit of being great people. But when you have this conversation and the spaces that your privilege and that you look all American takes you, how often is it that folks go, well, it's those people? What are the views? I sometimes want to talk to friends like you and go, what do most people, I know the people on the outskirts, I'm not talking about the Trump, those folks, but most people who go, what do most people who don't live in those communities who look like you. What kind of is the view? Is it sort of, oh, it'll get better, it's not really something that impacts us? What is that? How do we manage that? How do we have those conversations?
Yeah, I would say everyone has a different, growing up where I grew up, everyone has a different solution based on their experiences. So often it's like the easiest, just get somebody a job. You're like, yeah, it's not that easy to get somebody a job that's going through extremely difficult times. But really varies by person. Some people in the North Shore are extremely involved and go to community organizations and try to help however they can. But they're also nervous to overhelp because they don't want to look like they're trying to get in the weeds too much. That's if they're a board member, they're involved as a staff member. But it's risky, right? The more people get closest to the problem at times, sometimes it doesn't get perceived correctly. So at times, there's a lot of touch, right? Even though they know what's going on. But in general, right, a lot of people just kind of generalize it as get somebody a job, we'll be okay. But no one understands what trauma does to people, or poverty, or housing insecurity, or lack of food access.
Or the systemic results of redlining that were very clear, and you can literally, as you looked at, it's not hypothetical, it's not perception, it is factual. Your zip code lays out your future. Is it easier? Oh, so I'm going to ask you another question we talked about, and I was impressed with the honesty of the trust in our conversation. So I'm going to hope for it again. What do you think about the current state of race and race relations in America?
We have a long way to go. I think at least the conversations are happening, but I don't think they're as authentic as they need to be. I do think there's kind of, in general, two white people in this case. One white person's like, yep, we got to figure something out. One white person's like, we've done enough. And the second, type
and neither one of those two are the outlier. They're equally present.
They're 50-50, and from my life experiences, and that's in Chicagoland too. I'm not counting like other
part of a blue state.
Yeah. So, I just feel like people really only are willing to get to a certain amount of depth of conversation before opinion happens, and that's when a lot of where really the best parts of the conversation happen. People just say, like, for example, Black Lives Matter, and that obviously they matter, but how other people turn that into all lives matter and other things, it's like it's not part of the conversation. It's just we're just trying to acknowledge that Black Lives Matter is extremely important, and they have not had a fair voice. Black people in America.
Wow.
But many people,
Have you lost friends?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That was an easy answer.
Yeah.
Do you care?
No. I mean, it's also part of hitting 28. You realize who's important in your life.
Bravo. With that, sir, we are at the absolute end of this part of the show. And I say this part because Matt and I are going to continue our conversation on In the Arena Extra, that special extra you can find exclusively on CanTV's bright, shiny new website, cantv.org. In the meantime, Chicago and beyond, thank you for joining us. Let me leave you with a final thought for the road, courtesy of author Charles Dickens and poet John Holmes. No one is useless in this world who lightens the burdens of another. There is no exercise better for the heart than reaching down and lifting up. Until next time, take good care of you and each other. Good night.
Nice. That's lovely.